Good morning and welcome to my little arty crafty corner of the internet on YouTube. And it's Monday, it's the 20th of September, and it's so autumnal feeling here. The air is really cool. My computer tells me it's 11 degrees Celsius outside. It is sunny. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm hoping the temperature won't rise too much because I'm going to try and brave it and go out for a walk. I'm not very good at being brave at the moment again, but hey ho, it's all a work in progress. It's sort of like a few steps forward and a couple back, and the net gain is a step forward, so it's fine, it works, and eventually everything will work out. So it's still September, so it's still Sketchtember, and I'm determined to do something every day for Sketchtember. This was my Saturday one, which is all potted plants. Some really nice examples of things being coloured in, and some not so good. But overall, it's quite cute, quite whimsical, wonky and wobbly, which is my kind of style. Now, yesterday I chose to do butterflies, and I started with this page. Oh, it does go that way. Because I found that this at the top, the wire binding at the top, is a lot easier to work on than if I have it on the side. So I'm just saying, who says I have to use it just because it's supposed to be on the sides? It's a square sketchbook, it works. So these are the ones that I did mainly in Ecoline inks, but I don't know if I pick this up and move it, you might be able to see there's some glitter and glitz in places as well, some sparkly spots. Because this one I thought, what on earth am I doing using browns on the butterfly, but the gold lifts it. They haven't got any bodies on them yet, but lots of embellishment with souffle pens and glaze on the top of the glitter to help spread it out, but also to help it shine even more and to stop it rubbing off. And yeah, I think I used some of the Signo pastel pens as well. And I thought I'll try a page or section that's in alcohol markers. This one I did colour in alcohol marker, but they were so juicy they just bled, whereas on marker paper they don't bleed so much. They still do a little bit, but nothing much, and things that can't be remedied. And colours are a bit duller even in some ways, and yet not in others. Some of these I've used this one here I used chameleon markers for, and some chameleon markers. I used chameleon markers on this one, that's right, as well. But these ones here, the other four, I used some Arteza Everblend markers on, and the colours are much brighter simply because that's the nature of the colour that they are. And more difficult to blend because you've got to choose the right colours to blend, and a variety of them. And if I want contrast, I've got to bear that in mind, that I might need 4, 5 or 6 colours to get that smooth blend. But it's working, it's okay. So today, just saying, whether they get finished, I do not know. One thing I do want to try though on marker paper is to try colouring it with distress inks before I start drawing or adding alcohol markers to it, and see how that works, because I do like these coloured backgrounds. I do think it would look nice here, but it's such a potch to do after I've done it, because it would take away some of the colours, but underneath would work quite nicely. I think that might be why these colours are a bit more subdued as well, is because you've got that undercolour, that underpainting, and some of the distress ink, or a lot of the distress ink, will actually mix with the colours of the Ecoline watercolour. So it swings and roundabouts, really. But yeah, very strange. So today I woke up this morning and I had a hankering for mushrooms. So here's my Sketchtember page full of sketched mushrooms. Memory, reference, whatever. I used a combination of the two and just went for it. And it's quite fun actually to fill a page. I say it's quite fun. I say this just about everything, but it was fun to spend an hour or so in bed this morning, coming around and sitting and drawing mushrooms, just filling a page for no other reason than because I can. And these do need some colour. I could add shadow and texture with either stippling or cross hatching or something like that, but I'm not so confident with my skills at cross hatching these days. It just doesn't feel right. That could just be me thinking that, but I'm thinking fairly simple washes of colour, perhaps with some contrast to get that sense of depth, and then the highlights, and focus on the highlights rather than making these realistic, is try that more illustrative approach to colouring. So I think that might be a nice way to go this morning, and see what happens. So I'll spend a little bit of time chattering as I work, and then I may do a sped up version at the end perhaps, because I can witter an awful lot. Now then, as these are imaginary, let me have a look. Oh, let's have a lovely deep orange here, because I think that'll be fun to use. And a lovely red. Looks like a good one. What scarlet? Scarlet will work nicely. Ugh. And let me have a look. Gosh, these lids are so tight on these, which is great because it means that they won't dry out easily. But blimey, that's a bright yellow rather than the deeper yellow I'd normally use, but that's fine. And I am going to use, rather than directly to paper, I am going to use them with which one shall I do yellow? It's so hard to choose. Let me have a look. Because of course I also have to bear in mind that I'm going to get the colour from underneath. And this really is picking up the distressing. You can see the pattern from the background disappearing just that little bit. So the lovely thing about these is they really do blend really nicely while they're still wet. Even on this all media cartridge paper, you can see white, it does work. While it's still damp, they do spread quite well actually. And I am aware that these will dry back quite a bit, but that's fine. And then I need something that will just give me some shadow down here. Of course I could put highlights in with gel pens, which is my whole point name. And the soufflés are fab because they don't pick the colour up. So there's that one. Have a look here, I've got this lovely cerise colour here. I think it's this colour, I think it's the red violet. Yeah. So I want that. But I also want a purple. This is purple. But it's, well, it's blue violet it's called. It's a purple. Put that back on. And this one is ultramarine violet. So it's a bluer purple. The other one I just did, the blue violet. No, the blue violet. Yeah, blue violet. Surprisingly, is more of a pinky one, but they'll work nicely. Okie dokes. Let's have a look here because I'm thinking this one could be cool in these colours. And I am going to make this really quite intense in colour this side. And then I'm going to add some this in and quite a bit more to add some shadow and more again. Just dotting it in and letting it spread as it will, I think, in good watercolour style, wet in wet. It's funny how I get better results with these than I do watercolour paints. Still no expert, I will say that now, I'm definitely no expert at this. And what I do want to do is this top bit, I just want to give it that hint of pink, and perhaps just a little bit of it more around the side there, perhaps down here, just to get that sense of some shadow perhaps. And that middle bit, I'm going to be quite outrageous, I think. Yellow, orange, and that hint of perhaps red at the bottom. Although I may take this because that will give me a blend that includes this colour. It goes sort of like a strange browny colour, but I'm okay with that, I think. And what I'll do then is just going to add some clear water there just to add a bit of texture. And I can do that hopefully with the one at the bottom if it hasn't dried. It's dried a bit too much, but those may work. I do need, this could do with just being that little bit deeper in colour perhaps. Of course I have to bear in mind the fact that it always looks particularly bland, I suppose, to me when I'm looking at this from my kind of perspective, I suppose. My love of bright colours, when I'm using bright colours. See, there are examples of work where I get quite vintagey and muted, and I really like that as well. I like exploring that because it's different for me. So look here, just add some shadow in there as well, so that'd be quite nice. Okay, what's some greens now then? I have some really odd greens. I find the greens in here are all vibrant and a couple of them are quite samey. So I've got this lovely bright green there. This one is that the blue? Bluish green. In other words, it's an aquamarine or a turquoisey colour. I can just put my hand in any damp paint. So let's have a look at what kind of colour these mix. Quite a nice one actually. Okay, I'm going to use that one here. As I have to remind myself, and I forget to from time to time, is that the background of the distress inks will add colour to these and tone them down. But that's okay. It's what I sort of planned to do, or I've done, and I have to work with it. I hear people say make my peace with it, because it is what it is, and in different contexts to art actually. But I don't think that is something that applies to me, is that it's not making my peace with it. It's sort of like going, well, or perhaps it is, yep, that's what happens, that's how it's worked, and it's not a lot I can do about it now. It is what it is, and it has to be what it is. And perhaps that is making my peace with it, or I don't know. Okay, let's have a look. Get some of the green up and do the same with the green. Add some dots in. This actually adds quite an interesting texture. When I put those drops of water on the pink, I didn't expect there to be quite as put the light on, so that might help. So if you can see, I'm squinting here, there's been quite a distinct difference here in the dots that have been made, so that's an interesting thing, something for me to remember. Hopefully I'll remember to put, I'll put notes on here perhaps, because it is a sketchbook thing. And of course there I can also add some more there, because that should add lighter dots on the other side, especially if I pick the water up. There we go. before it's got a chance to shift much colour. So that worked out okay, I think. Okie dokes. I'd rather like a more yellowy green. So let me get some of the dark yellow, and that spring green is quite yellowy on its own, but I want something that's a little bit dark on the darker side. So this is me firtling around looking for the right kind of colour. This is a deep green, so don't know how they'll mix, but the only way to find out is to do it. Sometimes I do wonder if I ought to do one of these colour mixing charts that I see people doing to see how different colours mix together. But I'm not very good at colour mixing, to say the least. Okie dokes. So let's have a look here. The nice thing is, while it's still wet, I can mix the colours, or at least blend the edge of them so they fade one into another while I'm working, which is quite nice. And get a smoother finish there. That actually works okay. A bit more of the green on this side, I think. I know that if I did one side in one colour, one side in the other, and quite wet, they would blend one into another, but it's not something I feel able to do at the moment, or perhaps I'll try, because this is what, you know, sketchbooks are for, is for trying things out, isn't it? It's the whole purpose of them. And of course these work differently on proper watercolour paper as opposed to this. But this works adequately well for my purposes, I think. Okay, I do want a darker green there. So let me, I think this one is, this is fir green. So that is much darker, more bluey green. And what I might do, oh gosh, oh God. Nightmare time. It's Monday morning dropsies. Have a look here and see what happens if I add some of this blue violet to that. I should get something that's a darker greyer colour, just to go underneath and push these backwards. Blue colour does work. It also looks like it's a different colour inside as well. I'll come back to do the dots later. Oh, I've got this one here. I've got that bottom bit to do. Again, I think got some bright green here, or bright yellow. So let's have a look and see what that looks. Well, that's funky. Just that lighter kind of green that's there. Once again. Match the patterns at the top. Run out of that lighter yellow. Put some there. I'm beginning to get familiar with which colour top it relates to which colour here, which is great. It does take me a little while, mind you, but I get there eventually. And here I'm just going to add some of the greens as the shadows, I think. So that could be fun. I don't know where that idea came from, but it just popped in my head. Put some of this as well, the bluer colour. See how that looks. Oh, actually, that works quite nicely, actually. Live with that. Okie dokes, let's have a look. I've got that lovely bright red here, haven't I? So have a look. What one would I like to do in bright red? Well, likely to be this one, isn't it? Because it looks like it needs... No, I'm fussing around here going around these, and I don't need to, because those areas fenced in by black are going to be white. And as I'm going to use a white souffle pen, of which I do need to order some more to pop in my stash, because I'm getting through souffle pen. Well, it's the clear glaze pen I'm getting through like nobody's business at the moment. So let's have a look. Pick up some fairly neat red here. I think that was the scarlet. Let me see if I can find the carmine, because that would be lovely. I think that might be carmine. Yeah. Carmine is fantastic. It's more of a pinky red. And part of me wishes I'd put this directly onto the paper and then blended it out, but it'll be fine. So it will add more red to this. Just try and get that over there. Trying not to rework this paper too much, because it isn't watercolour paper. It will take, you know, a fair amount of wash and water, but it's not exactly designed to do so. Just to have some of this scarlet over this side, so there's a change in the red, I think. I've got some red on the outside there, but I'll wait for it to dry before I try to do anything. Now then, if this is Amanita, this under here would be white or slightly off-white. So let me see what colours I've got that may... What colour is this? It's beige. So that should do it. It's barely even visible here. Against that coloured background, but just add some. And got a darker version of beige. What colour is this one? Sepia lights. That may. It's a little bit darker, but not much. Actually, it's quite considerably darker, so just add some of that in. So it will fade out with that beigey colour, and I will add some water as well, just to blend these just that little bit in, and perhaps there. So you can see I'm going to have a lot of fun with these today, and I'll show you the results tomorrow. So it's going to be interesting, isn't it? I say tomorrow or the next time I do a video. So this is just a quick one. It's not even half an hour this morning, but the colour really does bring these to life, and it shows that even simple outlines can lead to interesting things afterwards. And of course, as long as I don't go over top with the embellishments, this should work out nicely. So I'm going to say thank you so much for joining me this morning. I hope you've enjoyed the little bits that I've done, and I'll hope you'll come and visit again one day soon. Until then, take care, look after yourselves, and find time to be creative, however and whatever creativity means to you. Bye-bye for now. Bye.